My name is Anan, and this is the story I never thought I would tell. For most of my life, I was a quiet Muslim woman. Not someone who made noise or asked too many questions. I obeyed, I served, and I believed. I was born in a conservative Muslim family, the kind where women speak softly and stay in the background.
The testimonies featured on this channel are presented as received, reflecting the personal experience and perspectives of the individuals who have generously shared them with us. We encourage our viewers to approach these testimonies with compassion and understanding, as these are personal testimonies of people involved. We also encourage you to always refer to the Holy Bible and the teachings of Jesus Christ and his apostles for guidance. You can consider subscribing to the channel to support our ministry. There are stories you hear that shake your soul, not because they're loud or dramatic, but because they're quiet, real, and hidden beneath layers of everyday life. Stories that whisper through cracks of religious walls and force us to question everything we thought was sacred. This story is not about politics. It's not even about religion. It's about a woman, a mother, a devout follower, a soul seeking truth, peace, and love. But instead, she met betrayal in the very place she trusted most. Her name is Anan, a 50-year-old woman from a well-known Muslim community, a woman respected, committed, and faithful. She went to the mosque every day, especially in the evenings, a time of calm and prayer, a time she believed would bring her closer to Allah. But one evening changed everything. It wasn't lightning. It wasn't fire. It wasn't a war or a scream in the street. It was a look, a touch, a moment, an unspoken evil hidden behind a holy robe, a sacred place that became a cage of fear. What happens when a man you trust with your soul tries to take your body? What do you do when your faith becomes your fear? And when the truth hits you like a storm, how do you survive the flood that follows? Anan did something most people wouldn't dare to do. She questioned the untouchable. She fought the silence. And in her darkest hour, she saw a light she never expected. But that light came at a cost. Persecution, rejection, loneliness, but also freedom, and a love she had never known before. This story will disturb you. It will move you. It will leave you asking, how could this happen in a house of prayer? But more importantly, it will show you that even in the midst of betrayal, God is still reaching out, even in the most unexpected ways. Make sure you watch till the end. And if you're watching this, drop your country in the comments. Someone out there needs to hear this. Someone needs to know that they are not alone. Now, let's hear from Anan.
I wasn't perfect, but I tried. I wore my hijab. I fasted during Ramadan. I went to the mosque every evening after preparing dinner for my family. The mosque became my escape, a place where I felt seen by Allah, even if I was invisible to the world around me. There was nothing extraordinary about that evening. It was just like every other. The call to prayer echoed through the air. I tied my scarf tighter and walked quietly down the dusty road toward the mosque. My heart was heavy that day. My son hadn't called in weeks, and my husband was cold as usual. I remember whispering under my breath, "Ya Allah, give me peace. Just peace tonight." I got to the mosque and sat in the women's section. The evening prayer had just ended. Most women had already left. I stayed behind, as I often did, just to sit, just to breathe. That's when he came. The Imam. He was a respected man. Someone we all admired. A father figure in the community. He had prayed over our children, led our funerals, blessed our weddings. No one questioned him. He was holy. He was safe, or so I thought. He called my name gently. "Anan, can you help clean the Quran shelves tonight?" I smiled, stood, and nodded. I had done it many times before. I followed him quietly toward the main hall. The mosque was silent. The others were gone. The lights were dimmed. Something in my chest felt strange, but I ignored it. Then, something happened. He stepped too close. He touched my wrist. I froze. I laughed nervously and stepped back. Imam, I can clean them later. I think I should go home. He smiled. But it wasn't kind. It wasn't holy. It was dark. Familiar, yet strange. Like a snake in a man's robe. His hand reached for my shoulder. You're always here. So faithful. So loyal. Allah sees your heart, and so do I. My knees shook. I looked around. No one was there. I whispered, please. I have to go. He stepped in front of me. Aynan, don't act like you don't want to be seen. You come here every night. Alone. Maybe this is why. Tears welled in my eyes. You're a man of God. And then he said something that shattered my soul. I am the voice of God. Who will believe you if you speak against me? My heart stopped. I felt cold. I ran. I don't even remember how I got home. My scarf was half off. My feet hurt. But I ran like something was chasing me. Because something was. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I didn't pray. I sat in the corner of my kitchen, shaking, asking myself, did that really happen? Did I do something wrong? Did I invite this? The next day, I avoided the mosque. For the first time in years. But he sent me a message through one of the women. The imam said he missed you. Don't stay away too long. I felt sick. I wanted to disappear. 4 days I cried. Alone. Not because of what happened, but because I didn't know what to believe anymore. Was this Islam? Was this my faith? Was Allah watching? Was he silent? I stopped praying. I couldn't say Bismillah anymore. The words choked me. Every ayah I read reminded me of the man in the robe. The mosque felt cursed. The Quran became a prison. But then something strange happened. One night, I was crying in bed. No prayer. No words. Just silence. And I whispered, God, if you're real, the real you, please show me. And that night, I had a dream. A man in white stood before me. His eyes were full of fire, but his voice was soft. He said, Aynan, I saw everything. You were not alone. I am not that man. I am the door. Come to me. I woke up shaking. Who was he? Was that Isa? Was it Jesus? I didn't know. But I wanted to know. I began to search. Secretly. Online. Quietly. Hidden. I watched videos. Read testimonies. Stories like mine. Women hurt. Betrayed. Questioning. And many of them found Jesus. Could he really be the truth? Could it be? But what if I was wrong? What if I was being deceived? Or what if I had been deceived my whole life? I needed more. I needed to know the truth. And I needed to know soon, because something terrible was about to happen, something that would shake my soul again and force me to make a decision that would change my life forever. After that dream, I couldn't sleep the same way again. It wasn't just a dream. It felt like a call. Every time I closed my eyes, I would hear those words again. I saw everything. You were not alone. I am the door. Come to me. I couldn't get his face out of my mind. His eyes, so different from anything I'd ever seen. They didn't judge me. They didn't accuse. They didn't shame. They invited. I started searching for more dreams like mine. I found stories, videos, Christian testimonies of Muslims who had seen this man in white. Some had nearly died. Others were abused. But in their darkness, they met Jesus. I wanted to cry. Was he calling me too? But with every step toward him, fear gripped me tighter. What if someone found out I was searching? What if my husband saw the videos on my phone? What if the imam knew I was looking for another path? One night, I left the house and walked to a place I'd never dared to go before, an old building on the edge of town. I had heard from whispers that there were Christians there who prayed quietly at night. I didn't plan to enter. I only wanted to stand near. Just to feel something. Just to see them. To hear a different kind of worship. And then, someone opened the door. A woman. She looked at me. She didn't ask questions. She didn't judge me. She simply said, "You're welcome here." I don't know what overcame me, but I stepped inside. It wasn't a church like you see in the movies. It was simple. A few chairs. A few candles. And a cross on the wall. But the moment I entered, I felt something heavy lift off me. They began to sing. Quietly. And their voices. I can't explain it. It wasn't performance. It was peace. Tears ran down my face. Someone touched my shoulder gently and asked if they could pray for me. I nodded. And they prayed in Jesus' name. Not once. Not twice. But they said his name over me again and again. And I didn't feel afraid. I felt safe. For the first time since the mosque incident, I felt like God saw me. I left that night shaken, but also full of questions. Could I leave Islam? What would happen to me? Would I be cursed? Killed? Thrown out? I was a mother, a wife, a respected woman in my community. People knew me. They trusted me. But I couldn't go back to the mosque. Not after what happened. And I couldn't keep pretending. One morning, I opened the Quran and stared at the pages. I searched for hope. For answers. For something that could fix the pain inside me. But all I saw were commands. Rules. Fear. Punishment. No love. No rescue. No one saying, "I saw everything. You were not alone." And suddenly I whispered, "Jesus, if that was really you in my dream, show me again. I'm afraid. But I'm ready to know the truth." That night, I had another dream. I was standing in front of the mosque. It was burning. Not with fire, but with a dark smoke that choked the sky. People were going in, bowing, chanting, but their eyes were blindfolded. I tried to shout, "Stop. Don't go in." But no one heard me. Then I turned around. And there he was again. The man in white. He reached out his hand and said, "I told you, I am the door. Come out from them." When I woke up, I knew. This wasn't just coincidence. This was a calling. The next day, I made a decision that would change everything. I reached out to one of the women from that small Christian prayer group. And I said, Can you tell me who Jesus really is? She smiled, took my hand, and for the next 2 hours, she told me stories I had never heard in my life. Stories of Jesus touching lepers, forgiving women caught in sin, raising the dead, loving his enemies, dying for me, and not just dying, rising again. Something in me broke. I asked, but why? Why would he do that for me? I'm just a Muslim woman. I've prayed wrong all my life. I followed a religion that doesn't even believe he died on the cross. She said something I'll never forget. Because he doesn't care where you came from. He cares where you're going. That day, I prayed. For the first time, not to Allah, but to Jesus. I said, I don't understand everything, but I know you saw me that night. I know you came to me. If you are the Son of God, and if you really love me, then I give you my life. And peace, real peace, entered my soul. I didn't feel cursed. I felt free. But freedom came at a cost. Because a few days later, everything changed. My husband found out. He saw a Bible in my bag. A note from the prayer group. He didn't even ask me to explain. He slapped me so hard I fell to the ground. He shouted, "You are a kafira. A disgrace. A traitor to Islam." My children cried. They didn't understand. My daughter clung to me, but my son pulled her away. He looked at me like I was a stranger. That night, I was locked in my room. They took my phone. They called the imam. Yes, that imam. The one who tried to take advantage of me. He came to our house. He stood in our living room, smiling as if nothing had happened. And he said, "You see, Anan, when people leave the straight path, they lose everything. This is your punishment. But it's not too late. Repent. Come back to Islam, and all will be forgiven." I couldn't believe it. This man, who tried to destroy me in secret, now stood in my home acting holy. I looked him in the eyes and said, "You may have power in this world, but I have seen the one who holds the power of life and death. And it is not you." He left angry. And that night, I was thrown out of my house. No food. No money. No home. Just a woman and her Bible. I wandered for hours. Eventually, I made my way back to that Christian group. They took me in. They fed me, hugged me, prayed for me. They didn't ask for proof or explanation. They simply said, "Welcome, sister in Christ." And for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged. They thought throwing me out would break me. They thought hunger would humble me. They thought rejection would send me crawling back, begging for forgiveness. But they didn't know. I had already been broken. And in that brokenness, Jesus built something new. I stayed with the Christian women for months. We lived quietly, carefully. I changed my clothing, my name in public places, and I never went anywhere alone. But even as I hid, word spread. The imam began telling people I was possessed. He told my community that I had been brainwashed by Christian demons. That I was lost, unclean, dangerous. I became a ghost in my own neighborhood. The women I once prayed beside in the mosque now spat when they heard my name. Children threw stones at me in the street. Some shops refused to sell me food. I was called a traitor, a dog, a shame to Islam. But what hurt the most? My daughter stopped speaking to me. She was my light, my soft-hearted child. But my husband poisoned her mind. He told her I had cursed our family. He told her I chose Jesus over them. And I did. But no mother's heart survives that kind of silence without pain. I would sit at night, praying, Jesus, was this the right choice? I lost my family, my name, my home. I don't even know where my daughter sleeps. Was it worth it? And every time, I'd feel his whisper, you were never alone. Not in the mosque. Not in the street. Not now. I began to write my story down. Not just for myself, but for the others. Because I knew I wasn't the only one. There were other women in the mosques who had been touched when no one was looking. Other women who screamed in silence. Other women who hid their fear behind their hijab. And most of all, there were other women who saw the man in white. I started meeting them secretly, one at a time, in tea shops, at markets. Some were from my own neighborhood. Some were the wives of imams, sheikhs, and religious leaders. Some had been abused worse than me. And each time I shared my story. Not the edited version. The real one. I told them about the night the imam touched me. About the fear. About the dream. About the man in white who said, I saw everything. And something happened. Tears. Healing. Hope. Some gave their lives to Jesus. Quietly. Carefully. We formed a secret circle of prayer. A sisterhood of exiles. And little by little, the light spread. But so did the danger. One day, a woman I trusted betrayed me. She told her brother, a radical man known for hunting converts. He came to our prayer house at night. Banged on the door with a metal rod. Shouted, Kafara. Come out. I will purify you with fire. We hid in the back room. Lights off. No breathing. No movement. He smashed a window and lit something on fire. We could smell it burning. I thought we would die that night. I whispered, Jesus, if this is the end, hold me close. And then the fire went out. I still don't know how. We later found the cloth soaked in fuel. It had landed inches from our wooden furniture. But it didn't burn. Not a mark. Jesus had covered us. After that, I went into hiding for months. I moved from place to place. I couldn't stay in one city for more than a few weeks. I lived like a fugitive, but with peace. Because I had something no imam, no mosque, no husband could give me. Freedom. And purpose. One night, I met a young woman, just 19, trembling in a corner at a bus station. She had blood on her scarf and fear in her eyes. Her imam had raped her. She told me no one believed her. Not even her mother. And I said something I never thought I'd say to another human being. You are not alone. I was you. She stared at me, shaking. And I told her about Jesus. The man in white. The door. The one who sees. The one who saves. She wept in my arms that night. And she gave her life to him. That moment was worth every beating. Every rejection. Every tear. Because I realized this wasn't just my story. This was God's rescue mission. He had reached into the darkest corner of a mosque to pull out a soul others called invisible. He had taken a 50-year-old Muslim woman, forgotten by her husband, ignored by her community, and made her a vessel of light. And today, I speak not just for myself. I speak for the hundreds of women like me, who are still trapped. Still too afraid to say it out loud. Still wondering, does God see me? Yes. Yes, He does. And His name is Jesus.